Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus. You are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC.
John Coleman.
What's popping?
Yo, that shirt you're wearing, bright AF.
Found it in the closet.
Bright AF. That's typically where you find clothes, John. You find them in the closet.
Well, I went, every year seems to be an annual tradition where I go through and just like take out a bunch of the shirts I never wear.
And just move them towards the front of the closet?
No, just, I'll give these away. I'll do this with it. But then I'm like, I can't give this away. Maybe I'll do yard work in it. And it just piles up.
Do you know how many pairs of like pants / sweatpants I own?
70.
Or long sleeve T-shirts that I have saved for when I paint again. Oh, that'd be a great shirt to paint.
For when I.
Yeah, I'm like, I paint anymore like once every 3 to 7 years. Typically, my wife paints the bathrooms and the rooms, or she hires a painter for the entire house. Yeah, so I should probably go through my closet and throw all that crap
Ton of
out
shit,
too.
but then I got a lot of like Lacoste shirts and polo shirts that are like, back in the day when tall tees were a thing and your boy was like a little bit heftier. I have like long tees, but I want to like, what do you call them, tailored? You can get the shit tailored?
Yes.
Yeah, it's cheaper than buying a new shirt.
Take it right up to Dry Clean World on Lee Road in Winter Park, Florida.
Uh-oh.
See my girl, she is phenomenal.
Really?
Probably $12.
She got to like take my measurements and shit?
Oh, yeah. You go in the dressing room, you put on the shirt, she comes out, she safety pins all of the extra fabric, and then about 6 to 9 days later, you pick it up, and voila, she cut all that extra fabric out, and it fits.
Any type of shirt? T-shirt? Or does it have to be like a dress shirt, polo shirt?
I'm going to say anything.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's one of my hacks. I quit buying custom shirts. I just go buy stuff right off the rack
and get it fitted.
Well,
can you do that with jeans too? Can she make come in my like baggier jeans, let's say skinny?
Something she can, but something she can't. Right? Because that was my problem. I have a suit that I love, but I bought the suit like 10 years ago.
Probably look like an old pastor or some shit.
And 10 years ago, the jacket's still somewhat in style, but the pants.
Gotta go.
Yeah, it's like straight legged, but all like from the thigh down to the ankle. There's no taper to it. Whereas today, most things we're wearing a little bit more fitted, tapered, possibly on the edge of skinny. But at 44 years of age, I can't wear skinny.
There you go.
Yeah.
But we didn't come here today to talk about fashion news.
No, we did not come here today to talk about fashion news. By the time this drops, we are going to be full on in MAA week. Do you know what MAA week is?
The Mortgage Action Alliance.
I thought you were gonna like go straight up with
Ma,
I need some meatloaf.
No, you have to. You said we're on our
wedding
best
crashers
best.
there.
Best behavior. You said for this episode.
I did say best behavior
because you want to like share it with the people, and you don't want to be like, oh, they're
okay. So we're gonna get real geeky.
No, you're gonna get geeky.
If you're not a mortgage professional, if you're not in the housing industry, this episode might not be for you. We may give you an opportunity to go on YouTube and just do a deep dive on some of the episodes you haven't had a chance to watch because you just started tuning in 5 or 6 months ago and we've been at this game for 3.5 years.
Shame on you.
No, congratulations to you. Thanks for finding us. Now go enjoy some of the vintage episodes.
I like that.
Because we're going to do an episode straight up for our mortgage friends. It's not going to be long. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be impactful. It's going to be rah-rah. And it's us doing our part to support our industry. All right, I said shout out to Jen Wynn over at the NBA. Jen Wynn is with the Mortgage Action Alliance. That is MAA. And that's what we're going to be talking about because it's MAA week. And what is MAA? What does MAA do? Why should it matter to you? All right, let's jump into it. So MAA for us in the mortgage industry is one way to advocate on behalf of our industry. So there's like 3 different ways you may or may not know this to advocate. Did you know that? 3.
What?
There's grassroots, there's lobbying, and then there's being a part of a political action committee. Political action committees, also known as PACs, basically you donate your money, and then the committee decides which elected officials or which people who are running for an elected office should we donate money to.
Okay.
Right. That's what a political action committee does in a nutshell. That is one way that you can advocate. Another way is lobbying. So we did an episode on this because I was just in D.C. back in April when I was with the Mortgage Bankers Association and a couple hundred of my friends, and we marched on Capitol Hill and we lobbied. We met with our senators, we met with our congresspeople, and we introduced ourselves and we stated the importance of X, Y, and Z issue, and we even were prepared to discuss what upcoming bill they were going to be asked to vote on that would potentially have language that we were either for or against. That was us lobbying. Now, PACs take money that you may or may not have. If you have money, then by all means, I think you should look for the political action committees that mean the most to you. Like for me, MORPAC, Mortgage Political Action Committee, MORPAC, I donate to. I have gone and lobbied. But then there's the grassroots, which is what we're going to ask you to do today. What we're asking you today is just the easy. It doesn't cost you money, doesn't cost you time. If it costs you time, it literally may cost you 3 to 5 minutes, however long it takes you to click a couple buttons, fill out your information, and click submit. Mm-hmm. That's it. But you would be a part of the grassroots advocacy. This would allow you to communicate as the general public with your local, state, and federal officials regarding certain issues. And by becoming a part of the Mortgage Action Alliance, then what happens is when the mortgage industry spots a concern or a need for change, we rally the troops, we all get together, and our professional organization, the MBA, drafts a letter, and then they give all of us as MAA members access to be able to click 1 or 2 buttons and have that said letter sent to our elected officials, those officials that represent us, right? So for me, it would go to Marco Rubio, it would go to Rick Scott because those are my 2 senators, and it would go to Corey Mills because he is my representative in the House, right? Depending on where you are, if you're in Ohio, it'd probably go to like Sherrod Brown, and it would probably go to J.D. Vance, and then whatever district you're in, you'd go to that representative. But the best part about it is it just tells me, hey, this is what's important to the MBA. Here's why it's important. Click here, and a letter will go out on your behalf. Didn't ask you to write the letter, didn't ask you to spend any money. So that's something that being a part of the Mortgage Action Alliance allows us to do.
Are you a member of it?
Yes, I'm a member of it.
I'm not only a client. I'm not only a client, I'm the president.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to get involved in your industry. Like so many times, all we want as people is for our voice to be heard.
Question for you. What's like the demographic of this? Is this more of like an older kids club? Do you see a lot of younger loan originators joining stuff like this, or is it like a
This is for everybody. Like this is truly, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus. Like even if your mortgage company that you represent is not a member of the Mortgage Bankers Association, that shouldn't stop you. You can still become a member of MAA. It's free, and it's your one way to have your voice heard without having to spend money and without having to travel to Washington, D.C. It's like, honestly, it's the training wheels. It's, hey, before you start lobbying and before you start donating money, mm-hmm. you should look into MAA.
Are they all over the country? Is there like one chapter?
No, there's one Mortgage Action Alliance. Yep. Okay. Like this is a national. Okay. Yep. Just like there's one MORPAC.
Gotcha.
Now, each state may have their own political action committee, right? Because like in the state of Florida, we raise funds through a political action committee so that we can support the elected officials that run the state of Florida, right? Versus the elected officials that help run the country.
Gotcha.
So you definitely will have a state level as well as you'll have a national level. But I don't know of any state level Mortgage Action Alliance. I only know of the political action committees. Like here in Florida, we have a lobbyist. He is on retainer. His name is Eric Prutzman. Shout out to Eric. He's a really good dude. And Eric represents the Florida Mortgage Bankers Association. Eric works out of Tallahassee, where Eric lobbies on behalf of the mortgage industry in Tallahassee because he's talking about state issues versus federal issues.
Are there any issues that MAA has, like agendas that have gotten pushed through that really made change, or is it part of like, a larger conglomerate of
countless?
Okay.
Oh yeah, countless. Okay. In fact, like I remember pretty hardcore. Like I'll be honest with you, right now, if you went on the MBA's website or you went on MAA's website, I think they're one and the same actually. I think you go to MBA, then you can link to MAA. Mm-hmm. But if you went there, you could see there's like 9 or 11 current issues that they are advocating on behalf. Like, hey, this is an issue coming up for vote. Here's why we think you should vote for it. Here's why you think we think you should vote against it.
So they educate you and stuff. They let you know what's coming up.
Well, no. These are letters that we're sending to elected officials. The letter's already drafted, and the NBA has already stated the NBA's stance. All you have to do is click it, open it, click it, and it sends it off on your behalf. Right. Yeah, but like there's 9 or 11. Of those 9 or 11, there's 2 or 3 that you're like, yeah, I'm passionate about that. Yeah, that really matters. Then there's some that it matters to a much smaller subsect of the mortgage industry. Right? There's some things that are like, oh my God, this is catastrophic. We have to arm in arm band together and take it down. And there's others where most people are probably indifferent. Most people don't fully understand how it's going to impact their day-to-day, or it doesn't impact their day-to-day. It may only impact a small part, right? This may only impact multifamily homes that are in areas of high forest fire danger. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it's going to be hard to get somebody who doesn't work in multifamily, who also doesn't live in an area that forest fires are a concern. Mm-hmm. How are you going to get them to like take the 3 seconds out of their day to click a couple buttons? But there's definitely times when it's like all hands on deck. We got to tackle this. Mm-hmm. One of those that's coming up right now, trigger leads. We've been fighting trigger leads for the past year. We fought like the devil for them in April in person. Now through the Mortgage Action Alliance, within the next probably 3 to 5 weeks, we're going to have an opportunity as an industry to make our voice heard. My question to this audience is, how loud is that voice going to be? Is that voice going to be 61,000 loud or 81,000 loud? How many people are actually going to get involved? This is your opportunity to have your voice heard. So if you go to our website right now, which our website for the podcast is tloponline.com, theloanofficerpodcast.com, or just shorten it, TLOPonline.com. Okay, that website is built as a all-in branch manager in a box for mortgage loan originators. That's what the website really is. It's trainings, it's coaching, it's resources, it's blogs, it's articles, it's lead trackers, it's lead intake forms, and even more training videos because we update it monthly. Right? That's what TLOP Online is. But I also like to track things that are important or places that we're going to be speaking. So if you went there right now, you would see that yours truly has been invited and I accepted to go to Tampa, Florida in about a week or so. And I'm going to be speaking at a Mortgage Bankers Association event in Tampa. At the same time, you can click the link on the main screen. Just look to your right. It says it really big, MAA, and you can sign up to be a MAA member. Or if that's way too difficult, you can literally get out your phone right now and text MAA to 50457. So text MAA, MAA stands for Mortgage Action Alliance, to 50457. It'll probably take a total of 3 minutes to send the text and then to follow the prompts, and you too can become a member. And coming up on the docket, we plan on fighting trigger leads. You can be a part of that.
That's impactful.
Yeah, but you're asking like other things that we would use this for. Yeah, promoting remote online notarization, right? We've been fighting for that for 3 years. We're still fighting for it. It's called RON. The FHFA LLPA changes that we've been talking a lot about. MAA was involved in that. We used a MAA campaign. Then there's other things that may or may not necessarily sit with all of our audience, whether it's affordable housing, changes in how appraisals are currently conducted, data privacy, regulatory clarity, False Claims Act. Like, depending on where you sit in the industry, those particular issues may resonate more with you or less with you. But yes, these are definitely things that we're looking to do it. And someone once said, John Coleman said, hey, Dio, like, explain to me, like, in one sentence, what is the Mortgage Action Alliance? Remember when you asked me that?
Probably.
You probably remember.
I don't remember
yeah.
shit.
And I basically said the Mortgage Action Alliance is the Mortgage Bankers Association's free, if it's free,
it's for me,
It's a grassroots advocacy network that allows real estate finance professionals to lend their voice. I like that, lend our voice, because we're lenders.
That's hilarious.
Lend their voice to key issues impacting our industry.
Why did this get started? When did it get started? And why? Like, who started it? Like, in 1965, people were mad and like, oh, we need to band together and start a union thing from a jigger, and then we'll start at MAA and then petition and get money. Is that how?
Let me see if I can find some stats for you. Here's what I do know. I do know that, like I said, it's about 61,000 members strong.
Mm-hmm.
What's crazy is 61,000. That only represents about 20% of the mortgage industry.
Tell them to put on.
Think about that. 1.2 million people work in the mortgage industry. Is that right?
No, that's a lot. I mean, is that just LOs or is that everybody? All
It's
hands on
everybody.
all hands on
That's
deck?
servicing.
Okay.
That's commercial. That's
Gotcha.
residential. No, LO wise, I think we're getting down to about 85,000, 90,000 total LOs.
Really? You could put that in a college stadium.
You probably could put that into a college stadium.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yep. But no, in terms of like how many mortgage professionals are there, I know. I guess that would be what, if 20% would be 61,000. You're looking at 300. There's about 300,000 mortgage professionals.
Okay.
Yeah, so 300 people are like, damn, Dio, your math skills suck.
No, I got no math skills.
Okay, but yeah, it would be roughly 300,000 mortgage professionals, of which 20% are MAA members, so roughly 61,000.
Is there like a chairwoman, chairperson, CEO?
Yes, there are people, typically volunteers or people who work for the Mortgage Bankers Association.
You get like appointed it type thing? You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're going to appoint you. Do you like have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we'd like you to be.
No, I don't think it's like that. Like,
you should do it. It's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to set you up. So
I am already, John. That's
I
why
know,
we're doing
I
this
know,
damn
but I'm
episode.
gonna
I'm
put
already
you
involved.
more involved.
No, I got enough things that I do for free. It's about time we started getting paid for some of this. I can't get paid for MAA, by the way. I'm not asking to get paid for MAA. I'm asking to get paid for some other things that I do. Right?
Yeah.
Around here, John.
You know.
I don't just show up looking pretty for nothing.
Right.
Actually, I do.
And triathlon.
How
many miles you run this morning?
I swim.
Weirdo. So weird.
No, but here's how about this? Last year, over 120,000 messages were sent to elected officials. That's pretty cool.
Of which 174,000 were unread. Kidding.
No, you'd be surprised. No, they read it. They have staff and they read it. And their staff is good. Their staff is informed and their staff has a job to do, and they do a good job. I have learned that firsthand by being in DC.
What about the hecklers that are like, yeah, I don't want to join this. My voice won't be heard. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, so why should I even waste my time?
It does matter. Every drop fills the bucket. I mean, like, what if we all said that? Then we would have nobody would be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, what if? No, it truly is. That's how the world operates. It's in a positive way. It's death by 1,000 cuts, except for it's the opposite. So every drop fills the bucket, and we want the bucket to runneth over. But here's a good question people have had. But what if I don't believe in what they're standing for? Cool, then don't send it. Like, no one's ever going to ask you to do something you don't want to do. Right? You can read the issue. You can read the MBA stance. And if you're like, nah, cool, then pass on that one. You don't have to blindlessly follow. You don't have to be a sheep. You literally can use your big old brain and make the determination. But I'll tell you from experience, there's probably about 9 out of 10. I'm like, yep, that's good for the industry. That's good for me. If it's coming from Bob Broachman and team, I'm in. But it's your opportunity. It's your opportunity to change. You know what they say? Nothing changes if
nothing changes.
If nothing changes. So if you want to sit back idly and let things just run their course.
Damn, easy.
If you want to let them run their course, then you can't then bitch and complain when things didn't go your way.
That's the way. That's the American way.
It is the American way, and hopefully, I think it's probably the Western civilization way, and it could be the human way. I don't know.
Definitely just America. But so do they have like national conferences and stuff that we can go to, or?
Yeah, if you want to, yes. Look, if you want to get involved, you start by just joining MAA. You start by joining MAA. Then maybe you want to attend one of your local Mortgage Bankers Association chapters. Then maybe you want to look at attending the National MBA Conference. Or then maybe you want to attend the Advocacy Conference every April up in DC. Right? These are ways that you can get involved, but Look, I'm not going for a home run when I'm just trying to get on base. All right? I'm just trying to get on base right now. I'm trying to convince these people who tune into our show who are mortgage professionals this is worth their time. This is me making my stand as a mortgage professional, asking you, help me help you. Help me help you. At a minimum, do this, right? Text the number that we provided. Go on our website, click the link, become a member, and then just follow instructions from there, right? Get your newsletters, get your prompts, and when there's a big issue like trigger leads coming up and we need you to get involved, click a couple buttons so your voice gets heard.
And if you're silent, don't bitch.
Yeah, true story. Hey, and if you say nothing, then continue to say nothing.
Yep.
Right? Please do not say nothing and then speak up when you don't like something that's happening.
That's the American way.
All right. That's all I have to say about that, John. I appreciate you all tuning in. I appreciate everyone allowing us to do this. It is something I'm passionate about, obviously. Hard to make this topic like super entertaining. John tried. I didn't. Hopefully I made it somewhat educational. But check it out. And I appreciate y'all tuning in.
So discombobulated. When you read notes like that, you get flustered.
You think so?
Yes.
All right. Hey, he's John Coleman. I'm Dustin Owen. That's all the time we have for you today. Please continue tuning in. Tell a friend. Give us a 5-star review. Share us not with one person, but with 3. And when you get really bored, check out all of the additional content that we are providing on our website, tloponline.com.
Word.
Peace.